feel
The
the blood
demon
creeping up
of
from the
dark.
heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you
The demon on the earth, the ruthless and merciless, the powerful and cunning, the cunning Greek god, year 106 before Christ. A lord happens to enter the world from a portal of hell, a vicious god. When a witch fought a saint and lost control, and lost but called for the door, and it happened to open in the dark night. When the devil himself stepped on the earth, everyone witnessed the arrival of the demon. The cunningness was visible with his accessories, jewelry, and the body attached with the massive. The gaze of a sharp knife, the lips of a notorious wine, the body of an angel, but the difference was he was a demon. A demon straight from hell, a demon to plague the world with his viciousness and lust. He corrupted the woman for other men. He haunts the maidens and wears their purity ring in his fingers like a goddamn crown. The notorious demon of straight from hell, assassinating young maidens, Voracious for them. The piercing on his eyebrow kept her captive. The lustful eyes eyeing her up and down, her breathing went erratic. The perfect nose bridge and the full lips with the gold ring pierced on the side. Sexily he licked his lips, and her throbbed with anticipation. The sharp jawline and the broad shoulder with taut muscles on it. The perfect abs, a V-line to drool over. The massive monster attached to his body corrupts every woman. But the thing caught her eyes, and her eyes went wide. Miss, it's time to leave. You can't possibly stay here all day. The lady speaking felt so far, and when she looked up, her red lips caught her attention. She adjusted her vision and came back to her senses. Miss, please keep the book in its place before you leave. She spoke annoyed, and Wine nodded. Yes, I'm sorry. Don't worry, I'll keep it in its place. She huffed at her and went away. Mine took a deep breath and looked at the book, which made her needy and curious. She picked the book and went to put it in its place. Let's get you where you belong, she spoke to the book. Wine, a student of history, basically a nerd with glasses and freckles. The soft pink lips, skinny but curvy in right places. She's a bookworm. These days, she just finished her midterms and her classes are off, but she doesn't want to go to her home because she doesn't want that trauma. Her parents fight every time when she goes back home because they think she is a burden, a mistake. She's the only child of her parents, but they never seem to love her. In fact, they told her that they hate her, so she became a bookworm and indulged herself in books and studies and studying at scholarship. Her baggy clothes hide her perfect and all from others because she's saving it for one and only. She kept the book in its place and sighed. I wish you were real, or at least I can finish it today. She spoke to the book because they are her best friends. She put it in its place and caressed its spine. She turned around and started marching to the exit. Since the library is about to close, she halted when she heard a murmur. Oh, little vixen. She turned around, her heart in her throat, but no one. Sighed again and chuckled to herself and left the place. You cannot escape me, little vixen. someone whispered and chuckled. Vine got back to her dorm. She's lying there lonely because her roommates went home, but she is here alone. She fell asleep instantly, tired from reading. Little vixen, she heard a whisper. She opened her eyes, still sleepy, but found no one, and fell back asleep. He nudged his massive, and she shivered. She tried to grind her, and he held her neck in a chokehold. You will bleed and pulse around me, and I'm going to slam into you, and you will cry and sob. But I will not stop. I won't. He plunged into her, slamming her barrier mercilessly. The ring on the head grazing against the walls and going so deep that her soul shuddered. And he didn't stop despite her cries. Now you regret this. He did it deep in heart, at every word earning sweet whimpers for himself. Wine woke up sweating profusely and a wet spot between her. She lifted her duvet and the poo she made just by the dream. What the? Wine, he's not real. Get a hole in yourself. She spoke, slapping her cheek lightly to gain consciousness. She did her morning routine, but all the time the heated eyes and the filthy words played in her mind on loop. She ate her breakfast, but in the middle of it, a thought of sucking that massive hit her mind and started throbbing. She took a few long breaths, picked up her backpack, and off to the library. I didn't finish it. That is why I'm thinking all this, she tried to convince herself. Reaching the library, she took the book and resumed her reading where she left. She read the book and became hella needy. Keeping the book back to its place, she found a necklace which dropped from the book. She was shocked when she saw the same thing she read in the book, the skull with a red stone. She got curious and decided to perform the ritual. She hid in the library. After the librarian locked the library, she stayed in the library. The ritual was supposed to be done when the clock struck 12 a.m., which means midnight. But there was one exception of the full moon, which was that night to her luck. She lit the candles and made a square. She sat in it and said the mantra. The demon of darkness, your submissive calls upon you. Come and take her out of her misery. A demon of darkness, A my Lord, come and make me your sub. I summon you, the demon of darkness. Your maiden summons you. She read the mantra 3 times, as written in the book, while wearing the necklace, but nothing happened. She huffed and scolded herself. Stupid wine, not everything is real in the history. Now I have to stay there in the library, she scolded herself, and got up to put the book back. She put the book back and turned around. She saw a figure standing in the shadows. Who are you? She stutters. Dead silence. Only Wine's bridged breathing was heard. She slowly started making her way to the figure. She was shocked to see the face as described in the book. She stepped back. How is that possible? She again stutters due to the man's dominance. A wave of heat went towards her mouth and her throat. The guy smirked. Oh, little vixen, here I am. You summoned me? He spoke with a glint of smirk on the corner of his lips. He cornered her and cupped her chin in his hand. He lifted her chin and ran his nose over her throat. He growled, which made my knees almost buckle. I can smell you, little vixen. I can smell the purity. He rasped out and bit on Wine's neck hard enough to cause her whimper. He ran a thumb over her lips and bit on her lower lip. "Sweet," he said, and Wine started shivering. The man she desired was in front of her, and she was scared. And Wine looked up in his eyes with her cold lashes. She looked in his eyes, and her eyes became black with lust, as if she had been put under a spell. She throbbed now. She reached out and slammed her lips on him. Both kissed each other voraciously. He picked her up, and Wine wrapped her legs around him. She broke the kiss when she was out of breath, and he kissed her neck, giving her love bites and making her squirm. He laid her down on the floor of the library. The library door suddenly opened, and she looked over to see the librarian. She scowled at her. Wine looked at her, then around her. She blinked multiple times. He was just here. He was going to make her crazy. What did he do? She lost her senses. Was he? Is she? "What are you doing here?" the librarian asked her with a scowl, and she gulped to steady her nerves. I got locked," she lied. The librarian looked at her through her glasses suspiciously but shrugged it off. "Go now. You're lucky that I forgot my phone charger here." She spoke in her arrogant tone. Wine bowed and collected her things. She came near Wine and looked at the necklace. She grabbed onto it and stepped back with a yelp. "What is this thing? Oh my God! My hand hurts now." She yelled at her. Wine's throat clogged. Her trauma got the best of her. Her hands shook. Since childhood, she was sensitive to noises, and her mother and father used to shout at her more often, and those shouts most often turned into beatings. Her hands shook, and a tear rolled down her pink cheeks. She frantically bowed to the lady and ran out of the room. "Strange girl," the librarian commented, blowing her fingers which were burnt. She turned around, and a tempting figure hovered over her. He clutched her throat, lifting her in the air. He let the hood of the cloak drop back his head and glared at her. Within seconds, she turned into ashes in his hands. "You did no good, and the worst of all, you made her cry. No one gets to taste her tears but me, my little vixen, such a goddess, meant to be corrupted." His deep growl echoed in the walls of the library. "You will be my most precious prey, little vixen. You're unaware of what you hold. Run as much as you want," he added with a chuckle, making his way out. One walked through the quiet alley. It's busy in the daytime, but at midnight, around 1 a.m., it's haunting. It's giving her chills. Her episode subsided when she took some air. Her hands were still shaky and clammy. Her heart thudded in her ribcage. A wave of goosebumps caused her skin to pebble. She felt a haunting stare at her. She stopped and looked around, but found no one. She reached her doorway and opened her room. As she was about to close the door pushed open, and there appeared the demon. Wine looked at him, eyes wide. She rubbed her eyes. She stepped back, her mouth wide open. She reached his chest, so wide she would be suffocated if he hugged her too hard. "Oh my God. Why am I going there?" she gulped hard. "My sweet queen, time to break the spell." He spoke in his deep voice as he closed the door behind him and locked it. The click of the lock brought her back from the haze she was lost herself into, and bolted to the other side. But not so soon, because his huge fingers wrapped round her bicep, and he flushed her front against his. She breathed heavily. She was scared. He was intimidating. He rubbed her paws on her neck with the back of his fingers, and in no second he joined the lips in a wild kiss. He was anything but gentle. She tried to push him, but he didn't budge and pushed her on the bed. The bed was small for him, but he straddled her hips and continued his assault on her lips, biting, sucking, nipping. At one point he drew blood and fast on it like a starved vampire. She let out a when he on her tongue. He pulled back and she breathed heavily. He looked at her flustered face, and when she locked eyes with him, her eyes turned black, and a different kind of wave ran through her body. Her mouth opened over the heat she felt in her body. She looked at him with her hooded eyes. He smirked and left a trail of butterfly kisses over her jaw to neck. He bit her throbbing vein on her neck, sucked and licked it. "You are the one," he whispered. He trailed down, nipping to the Instagram link in the description. Make sure you read it because you'll be missing out if you don't. "Too much," she whimpered with her eyes closed. "You're the only woman who can handle it, my goddess. Freaking delivered to Earth for me. You may not remember, but I freaking do," he growled. His iris turned golden as he came with a loud growl along her. He bit the pulse on her neck and drew blood. She yelped in pain. He sucked on it until the hue of gold turned blinding, and when he withdrew from her neck, her hair turned golden with sparkle in them, lashes turned long and curly. Her skin became more pretty. Her ring finger, which was empty, got a ring with a huge diamond on it. She was dark, but her skin glowed, and she felt light and powerful. She looked at him, and his darkness was gone. A hue of gold around his corneas, and a golden crown on his head, which was not there before. He kissed her. "You saved us both, my goddess," he told her, breaking the kiss. Looking in her eyes, a tear made its way down his cheek, and it was golden. His tears were golden. She touched his face with her trembling hands, and he leaned onto her touch. Her gaze went to her finger, and she gasped over the huge stone on her finger. What is that?" she asked, confused. "You don't remember, but I have been waiting for you. You are my queen, my wife," he told her, joining their forehead. "I don't understand," she told him softly. He pulled out of her, and she whimpered. He sat next to her and pulled her in his lap. "You are my wife around 1600 years ago. A witch put a spell on us, and you died, which was not possible since you were not human. But the spell was too strong, and you took your last breath in my very arms." He hugged her tighter. "Due to her spell, I turned into a demon, because only you keep me sane. My powers are too strong, and you were created for me. She sent me to hell, and the rest you know," he told her, kissing her cheek. "But I'm a human, and I don't know." "You will remember everything after some time. They told me you will be born on Earth as a human, and when we have a union, you will get your powers back, and I will get my monarchy back," he told her, caressing her cheek. He held out his hand, and a mirror appeared on his palm. Vine's eyes widened. He held out the mirror for her to look in it. She did, and her eyes widened when she took in her appearance. Her hair was golden and longer, skin smooth and pink hue on cheeks along with her lips. But the thing that shocked her the most was her eyes. They were golden like his, but a sharp pain crossed her brain. She whimpered. It it hurts. She breathed heavily. Jungkook held her and he became tense. My lady? He called her, but she was long gone into a different portal. She she told me I would never meet you again, she told him breathlessly. As the pain subsided, she looked at him. I I saw something, she told him. I saw a lady. She did something and she said she didn't get to have you, so I wouldn't be having. She she killed her. She killed my baby. She killed my baby. She cried as she told him a flashback she had. Jungkook's eyes widened as he acknowledged it. He never knew she killed his baby with her. He wrapped his hands around her. I couldn't save our baby, she cried again. Shh, it's all right. He consoled her. She looked at him with her fierce eyes. I want revenge, she told him, her darker side enveloping her. You cannot take revenge, my love, he told her as she looked at him with fire that made the most powerful people rattle. I killed her. I avenged you. I didn't know she killed our baby too. I would have tortured her more. For 1600 years, you were away from me. His words softened her. She hugged him. But you, she spoke and trailed off as she knew he had done that with other women. He held her cheeks and made her look at him. I never gave them what I gave you. I was looking for you, and for 1600 years I didn't come. He told her, and she looked at him, eyes wide and jaw hung low. Her eyes filled with tears, and she kissed him again and asked him to make love to her. This is it. Hope you guys like it. Our boy is turning old. Let's wish him a very happy birthday. Like, share, subscribe, and review in comment section down below. Bye.